Today we're going to talk about writing goals. Specifically, my writing goals for next year. This subject always gets me thinking and also sort of wondering if I just make goals incorrectly, because a sort of uncomfortable truth about the way I live my life is that I almost never meet my goals. And, a number of people have talked to me about this, and I'm just not convinced that I'm doing it the wrong way, but I'm also not convinced that I'm doing it the right way. And this video will hopefully be something that I can look back at and really determine whether or not I'm doing this properly. All right, that was a really long and complicated explanation for what is about to happen. I'm going to write 2 million words next year. Now, I said this last year, and this year, I definitely didn't meet that goal. So what makes me think, if I didn't meet it in 2023, that I'm going to be able to meet it in 2024? Probably unbridled optimism. That's what. But realistically, I do actually think that I can meet this goal. When I set my ambitious goal of 2 million words for 2023, it was not taking a couple of things into account. First of all, my writing routine was in flux at that time. And while I was spending a huge amount of my day writing, it was more of an ambition than anything else. I could envision myself writing that much, not realizing how many other things I would be responsible for doing. And the reality is that I just don't have 8 to 10 hours a day anymore that I can commit to just writing. The other thing that I didn't take into account was the fact that I was going to have to move, and there was going to be a huge amount of disruption in my life in sort of the second half of 2023. I assumed that if everything had just sort of continued as normal, I would be able to meet my goal. And actually, that's true. Based on the numbers I was posting, January through July, I would have been able to reach my 2 million word goal. In fact, I would have been able to surpass it. I was a little bit off track at the very beginning of the year, but as soon as I started dictating, I noticed how fast it was, and had I continued my regular schedule, I would have been able to get past that 2 million word goal. So what's changing? Well, not a whole lot. I still am going to have a lot of responsibilities that I have to take care of outside of my writing. In fact, I'm adding more responsibilities because I'm starting a couple of other projects that are probably going to take up some time. But the thing that makes me confident I can meet it is that recently I've been able to write 3 chapters a day, even with a very short writing window. 3 chapters a day is about 7,500 words. And if I want to hit my 2 million goal, I just need to bump that slightly. I need to bump that up to 8,400 words every day. And if I can do that, if I can write 8,400 words 48 weeks out of the year, that means that I'm going to break 2 million words. Realistically, what does this mean? Well, it means that I need to devote 4 to 5 hours every morning to writing. And honestly, that's what I want to do. I talk on this channel all the time about how writing is the most important thing for a writer to do. It is and should be our primary priority. And I want to reflect that in my own life. I don't want to just say that. I want to live that. And so one of my goals this coming year is to really focus in and make sure that I'm hitting 4 to 5 hours of writing every single morning. I will take Saturdays and Sundays off. Saturdays because that's typically the day when I catch up on things around the house and I hang out with my family, and Sundays for religious observance. But even if I'm only writing 5 days a week, I'm still going to be able to hit that 2 million word goal, again, as long as I'm actually spending 4 to 5 hours writing every day. Now, that does include time for things like editing. And honestly, if I write for 5 hours a day, I'll likely get a lot more than 8,400 words done. The next thing I have to do in this process of setting my goals is I need to plan for what I'm actually going to write, and I need to schedule it all the way throughout the year at this pace of 3.5 to 4 chapters a day. I found that that is the sweet spot. I'd love to get to 4 chapters a day, 10,000 words, and stick that. I've done it in the past, but it's never lasted more than a month or two. And I'd really love to do a whole year of writing around 10,000 words a day. Obviously, 10,000 words a day, I'm going to be a little bit above my goal, which is perfectly fine. It also means, though, that I can take more time off. Now, I have blocked a month off, so I only calculated for 48 5-day work weeks instead of the full 52. But given how life goes, I'm sure that there will be more time that I have to take off than just those 4 weeks. One of the joys of being an author is flexibility and being able to take a lot of time off if you need to. The other thing that I want to try to do is potentially build in some days when I'm just not writing at all, and instead I'm planning. The problem is that anytime that I set one of these really aggressive goals is that once I start to get behind, it just compounds and I get more and more and more behind. And that's what happened this year. I sort of got to a point in September or October where I realized that there was just no way that I was going to be able to meet my goal. And that's okay. When that happens, you just sort of have to adjust. And if that happens in 2024, that's what I'll do. I'll adjust. But I do like setting these aggressive goals just because it helps push me to try to achieve something awesome. So that's what I'm doing. And again, this video is mostly just a marker for me to understand where I am and what I'm doing and where I'm aiming. But I'd love to turn the question over to you. What are your 2024 goals? What are you going to write in 2024? Do you have word count goals? I'd love to know them, so drop them in the comments below, and I'll definitely respond.